I've got to be honest with you, Paul. I'm getting really tired of AI-generated content.
It's like, what does it even mean to be human anymore?
That's a couple thousand-year-old question, actually, and I think it might be coming upon our generation to answer it.
Yep. I'm Paul from JetBrains Advocacy.
And I'm Michelle Frost, AI advocate.
And today we're going to talk about AI and content.
So the question becomes, are there any humans out there? And if so, are they hostile? This is the theory of the dark forest of the universe, which is a sci-fi concept asking if there's any intelligent life forms.
That sci-fi concept, last month I started looking at something from Maggie Appleton. And she took that idea and did the dark forest of the web and generative AI, where if all the content is created by AI and all the engagement is created by AI, where is the humanity anymore?
Yeah, it's becoming really easy for spammers and SEO pumps to just drive new content with just a click. And it's becoming pretty convincing. We have not just text now, but audio, video, images. But within all of that, there's no original thought. There's no original thinking. There's no humans.
And it isn't just the content that is synthetic, so to speak. They can fire up all these bots to do engagement, to do comments, to do replies and things like that. Again, synthetic, the humans are gone. And you know, this leads to a problem where it was already kind of hostile with just the humans, right?
Yeah, web spaces have become very toxic. And you really don't want to have that main character moment on Twitter or X. And now we have all of these bots that are not just creating the content, but they're also responding in this very fast manner. And we have to also keep in mind that there's this backdrop of the loneliness epidemic. And where do people go when they're just looking for genuine connection?
This loneliness thing really is pretty interesting. It's getting talked about a lot. And this was something that Maggie talked about as well. She cited something, I think, from Venkat Rao about the cozy web. Where do you go when things are too toxic, when you don't sense that there are humans anymore? Reddit is an example of a place where you would go because there are humans, but you might leave the web altogether and go to a place like Discord where they haven't been able to reach into. But at that point, you've left the web, right?
Yeah, even like private chat groups. But what happens to the web when all the humans have left?
Yeah, at that point, it's all noise. It's exponential noise everywhere. But Maggie points out, you know, a CEO may say, who really cares if that content was authored by a fake human or real human? It's content, right?
No. Maggie also listed out 3 different issues to answer the who cares. Mm-hmm. And she pointed out that we lose the potential for human connection, we lose the connectedness to reality, and then shared social context. I would also add in that we're at risk of losing critical thinking. There was an article that came out on Nature last month in June of 2025 called Writing is Thinking. And it was a short, kind of scientific writing-focused article about the ideation process that happens when you write. And that's at risk.
Right, and I really enjoyed that Nature article. You shared it with me as well, and the loss of critical thinking skills. We actually see that in programming. Studies are coming out about that as well. So to wrap up this segment, Maggie offers 2 things as kind of antidotes for this. First, as humans in human content, we got to up our game a little bit, but that's also going to lead to some issues for some people who get left behind for various reasons. And the other is there's going to be this thirst for making in real life connections, the human connections. Again, I know you, you know me, we know some people, and we can build from there. No more search traffic, no more revenue. What's this Google Zero thing about?
Well, if you've been on Google recently, you might have noticed AI summaries are now at the top of the page when you go into Google. And the problem with this is that people see your content, but you don't necessarily get the click. And so now we're driving a wedge between creators and consumption.
I saw something posted like 50% of the clicks are lost in the case where there is an AI summary generated. That's not to mention AI. Google's working on an AI first kind of chat style to eliminate all of that. Some people are using ChatGPT as a search engine, TikTok as a search engine. And I think we see this whole what's fair to content creators thing coming up in a lot of places, right?
Yeah, there's definitely some links to, the responsible AI field as well. You asked what is fair to content creators, and responsible AI isn't just about how to build AI and how we should build AI, but it's also on our side as the consumers. How are we responsibly consuming AI?
This kind of ties back to Maggie's dark forest of the web theory that as all the content is synthetic, people are just going to start to tune out because they won't expect anything to be real anymore.
Yeah, I think this entire conversation is centered around trust. Historically, we have assumed that we are interacting with a human, right? We have started with trust. And now I think we have to start with skepticism, which creates a societal shift.
So, an AI content deluge is going to drive people from the web. What can sites do about it? I read a really interesting article in The Bulwark, which is a political site, talking about the Washington Post business model and how they've got to transition to this other thing to prepare for the arrival of content slop all over the place and make human connections with their readers. And if I can read a direct quote, everyone who isn't stupid is trying to build direct relationships with their audience because that's the only moat human-made journalism will have against zero marginal cost content.
I think it relates back to what you had said earlier regarding the cozy web and Reddit becoming a refuge for people looking for human-generated content. And truly, it's now a business strategy in 2025.
Yeah, so some of this ties back to the dark forest of the web, the Google Zero thing. People are going to go to places where they will find humans, and that's something that's on our mind. Okay, so AI content floods the web, dries out all the humans. What does developer advocacy do?
I think it's grounded in authenticity. We have to keep building in real life authentic connections and then building chains of trust from there.
Like, hi, I'm Paul. You know me from conferences.
I do. And I think it starts with that community, right? It's a community of people that actually know you. And then from there, their outward connections also know you. And it keeps building on from there. And at the end of it, you get, yeah, that's a human, and that is what their platform is based on.
Something you and I have talked about for developer advocacy, and we've talked with the whole team, is T-shaped advocacy. T-shaped advocacy, where it's wide and shallow kinds of advocacy activities versus narrow and deep. And these kinds of things, just routine content marketing, blah, blah, blah kinds of things. And these are where you're building authentic human connections and deep understanding of the field and things. Maybe the things we've talked about so far, dark forest of the web, Google Zero, are going to replace the shallow part because they can do it pretty cheap. AI can do it pretty cheap at very fast rates and things and generate content which is informative. But this other part that people are really craving for, the human connection from an actual developer advocate, maybe that's where we got to put all our attention.
Yeah, I think you said it right there. It's about augmenting our true strengths and not replacing those. Take care of that shallow bit so that we can genuinely focus on our strengths and our deep verticals. And this also relates to some of Maggie's recommendations, which were, to make sure that you are staying connected to reality, that the information that you're receiving isn't just being generated in cycles from AI, that you are nurturing that human connection and you're doing the work of building in real life activities with other people and that you're staying connected.
And on that point, you say trust a lot. I guess the point is that developer advocacy really needs to keep the trust with its humans.
This is all about trust.
We didn't think of an outro. Do you want to just finish there?
We can.
I often find these outros to be pro forma.
What if, is there a thing that is there a question that we could pose to initiate conversation of,
Yeah.
you know, we drop these words, you know, that are concepts.
Yeah.
Trust is truly, it's a concept and it's going to mean something different to each person. So, like, how do we pose that as a question to say, what would it mean to you?
Offer to engage, like a call to action.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a look at the dark forest of the web, Google Zero, and keeping humans in the content and the engagement.
We've dropped a lot of sometimes breathy words like trust or authenticity. And really these are concepts, right, that represent an idea. But ideas mean different things to different people. So I would open up the floor to our watchers and our viewers and say, what does trust mean to you? What does it mean coming from an individual versus a company? And how do we bolster this conversation to keep asking, what does it mean to be a human? And what kind of world do we want to live in?
Yeah. So share your comments with us. Thanks for watching, and let's keep the web a place for humans.